Harris, um, being inserted into the starting lineup, I mean, obviously disappointing result, but how do you think that that changed things, or even D'Angelo, from your perspective, how do you think that that changed things? And then after the ejection of Jared, did things shift a little bit and that make it more difficult?
I guess to answer your first question, I just tried to be aggressive, whether I'm starting or coming off the bench. I feel like we matched up pretty well with him tonight. Obviously some things happened with Jared. I feel like we had to protect ourselves out there. We support him with what he did. Obviously we wouldn't have liked him to get thrown out the game. I feel like that kind of affected us a little bit, but we still got to be better down the stretch.
I mean, yeah, to piggyback off that, definitely got to protect ourselves out there. You guys watch the games, you see what type of intensity it is. Two teams fighting their tails off to, compete, and simple as that. That's all it is.
Gentlemen, speaking of that intensity for Game 5, what are the takeaways in that intensity and execution that you can be able to bring it back here to Brooklyn?
I mean, like I said, you see two teams out there, hungry, trying to compete. They sure as hell don't want to lose to the Brooklyn Nets, and I think we got a chance to beat the Sixers. So it's just a high intensity game, and that's what it's gonna look like. It's gonna be hard fought. Bodies gonna be flying, and it's giving each other what we want.
Guys, so in the regular season, the Sixers, I think they were 20-21 on the road, so they're not renowned as being a great road team. Just from your perspective, is it disappointing to have them come in here and win back-to-back games on your court, and now going back to Philly down 3-1? Like, what's the feeling like for you guys?
Of course, it's disappointing, losing any game, whether it be home or on the road, especially when you're up, 5 minutes left to go in the game. So that's disappointing in itself. But obviously, with the great crowd we had tonight, we like to protect home court, so it was frustrating. But we got another game.
On your left, how do you adjust to Joel Embiid and down low when he's clogging the lane with 2 or 3 people moving forward for your offense? How would you adjust to that in the next game?
Us defensively, what could we?
On offense.
What do you mean?
When he was clogging the lane, you guys were getting alley-oops, but then when there was 2 or 3 people there, you guys kind of got a little stagnant. What can you adjust in those situations?
I mean, I think that's part of their game plan. He's a big guy. When he's clogging the lane like that, we're able to throw over the top and, get in and kick it out. When there's 3 guys in there, it works to our favor. Like I said, we look at the film, we see where the help's coming from, where their scouted help's coming from, and we capitalize on that. Simple as that.
Harris, can you describe what it's like to face a big body like Embiid when he's down in the paint doing what he does with his physical nature?
It's definitely tough. It's a team effort for us defensively, to try to slow him down. For us, we just try to get the ball out of his hands and, make every shot contested, make it tough.
Kenny mentioned before the game that, going through a series and all the adjustments and the game planning and scouting, it's harder than he thought it was going to be as a head coach. I'm wondering what your perspective is on that. Is this more difficult each game as it continues to go on than you thought it might be?
I mean, when you go into the playoffs with a routine, a regular routine or a regular schedule, the playoffs will throw you off, because teams are scouting for that, for what you've done throughout the season. So you definitely got to switch things up. I would think, as a coach, you got to be as prepared as you want to prepare your team as best as you can. And I think every game, the coaching staff's prepared us, going into each game, So, I mean, I can see on his part how it's hard, but as players, we know we play with that energy and play our hearts out. We'll give ourselves a chance with any team.
Angelo, could you talk about that inbound play in the final seconds? What happened and what was your sort of intention during that play? What were you guys trying to do?
Which one?
The one in the final seconds where the turnover occurred.
Spencer's pass.
I mean, I just think it was, it was tough on both of us. I put him in a tough position to pass the ball in. The play was for me. I got to do a better job of, getting open and giving him an outlet.
For D'Angelo, what was your thought on the impact that the lineup changes had and the effect on the game? And despite, now you're in a tough position at 3-1, but the way you guys played today, can you take some confidence from that going to Game 5?
Yeah, for sure. I don't remember your first question, but the second question. Oh, okay. I thought it was a great move, for Coach. He's been, making changes throughout the whole season that have given us an advantage to go out and compete and give ourselves a chance. As far as going back to Philly, I think, this game reminded us of Game 1. Trying to figure out the right recipe to attack, on the offensive end, and then it gave us a good look of what we could do on the defensive end as well.
For both of you, mentally, how difficult is it to sort of not get caught up in those little games within the game? You guys are getting on their nerves, they're getting on your nerves, the fouls, the hard plays. How difficult is that process for both of you?
At the end of the day, we just out there trying to win the game. We're not really too worried about that, man. We're focused, locked in on every play. It's tough enough mentally to be locked in for a full game. So that's our main focus. Just, they got a lot of good players over there just staying locked into their mentality.
What he said.
Yeah, D'Angelo, you kind of mentioned having to protect yourselves a little earlier. I'm just curious to know, with the scuffle, obviously 2 ejections occurring from that, what did you see in that situation, and what happened, basically, from your perspective?
And I'm going to answer this as sincerely as I can without, going at the refs, or that's not my intentions. But we've seen hard plays. We've seen hard fouls go against, Jared Allen the last few games. This happened to be from the same player. So for Jared Dudley to, step up and react like that, I thought it was necessary. Because we're getting the, the bottom end of that and the results of it. So for one of our players to be on the ground after every hard play like that, that's not what it's going to be. So, like I said, if those guys aren't, seeing it from our perspective, we see it from that perspective. So we're going to, handle it in our own ways.
Last one, Brian. For either or both, in the last, you had a 7-point lead, 4.5, 5 minutes to go. That last 4.5, 5 minutes, did their length and height bother you guys, and their defensive pressure, or was that just the next step in your guys' growth to handle, a late game playoff situation like that?
No, I think with that Mike Scott 3 hit at the end, we played terrific defense. It was a bad bounce, bad play, whatever, and basketball guys blessed them with that opportunity. We gave ourselves a chance at the end. Whatever the call was or whatever that situation was that didn't happen, the results ended what it was. I think we got a great group, great personnel to go into any game, giving ourselves an opportunity. A lot of our games have ended like that, with one play or one miscue or one box out or something like that. So that's just something that we could definitely, we can control that, and the way it ended tonight, I thought it was, we gave it our all and live with the results.
Good. Thank you, everyone.
Cool, yeah.
Gets it. Hollis Jefferson was defending on the play and a foul, but can't get it to go on the twirler, and picked up inside by Travion Graham. Dinwiddie, he's had a big third.